Sometimes the reality of life makes it harder to accept what the future's holding for all of us. Higher force calling us, unexpected visits to the coroner. When tragedy, pain has befallen us, and as we getting older, you quickly realize that you have to be stronger than you ever been. Lifespan has to be longer. Too many people taking life for granted. Too much negativity.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. This is your man, Chef. I'm here with my guy, Crooked. Crooked, how you doing, brother?
Doing phenomenal, brother. How you guys doing?
I'm amazing, man. It's another beautiful morning. I'm living. We're dealing with this, COVID-19 quarantine stuff that's keeping everybody locked up and locked in. But today's a good one. Today's a really good one because we got someone in here that's absolutely stunning. She's an amazing athlete. She can beat you up. Miss Tai Emery, how are you?
G'day, guys. Cheers for having me on the show.
Oh, no. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. I'm super excited it's not every day you could talk to a female that's a professional football player and an MMA fighter. So I'm really pumped up. And
that's a good resume. Yeah. You did some research, mate.
Oh, a little something, definitely a little something. So I was sitting there and I was like, man, I got to ask her a question. But then I have like a million questions, but I figured we'll start off real easy because I'm curious how someone who can be an MMA fighter or a Muay Thai and be a model at the same time, like how hard is it to juggle the modeling and the fighting? Because, you do get hit. So it's got to be hard.
Okay, so modeling, I've been modeling for the last decade. I was a published model back in Australia. Then I got internationally published. So I'm more like your Maxim magazine type model, like Ralph magazine, Surf Life magazine, Zoo Weeklies, all your calendars. I'm the voluptuous type model, swimsuit model, I guess. So really, once I got into sport, that definitely had to take a back burner because you're right. I'm getting punched. I've got bruises. It's not as bad as what it used to be, unless it's like fighting over here in Thailand. I've just knocked out 4 fights in the last couple of months, just trying to get that experience under my belt for my MMA career. And that definitely with Muay Thai, you couldn't do modeling at the same time. So for the balance, I know if I had scheduled shoots, as like always, like you just need to be a professional and just take it a little bit easier. I'm pretty lucky with all my Smalls gang back in Atlanta. If I had a photo shoot, I would tell them, and then they would usually put on big gloves so that I wouldn't get bruised. So I'm super lucky. I had to just be a little bit more cautious. And I also had to make sure that I went with the right partners so that I didn't get banged up. But modeling had to take a back seat since I got more into sport. And I think that's what has helped me to become as fast-track successful in my own mind, I guess, with sport, is because modeling is so second nature for me. And I feel like a lot of athletes can get lost in this system where this fighter or this football player has now got a name for themselves, so now they're trying to model. Well, for me, I was already a model, so I never really need to put any effort into doing things like that because it's just come so second nature because I've been doing it for so long. And because of that and because of that experience being in the magazine world, I can put so much more focus on my training and where it needs to be an athlete. So yeah, that's pretty much how it's had to balance. Once the cauliflower ears came in, I knew that's, I remember looking in the mirror with my gargoyle ears and they're full of blood. And I remember thinking, why? Well, that's why we did sport last, Tai. Because we knew that this was going to happen. There was going to be some damage. So it had to go career, modeling, football, and then fighting just had to be the last thing to just completely become a warrior and completely destroy this ship along the way and have a good time.
All right. So My question to you is, with your last fight, you had was against someone a lot bigger than you.
She was a lot bigger than me. Actually, most of them are. I'm pretty short for someone who carries the weight that I do. I'm actually really tiny. I'm 5'4", but I guess right now I'm about 140 pounds. So they're usually putting me in the division with all girls who are around that weight. Over in Thailand, we're not doing any weight cutting. We're not, which is what we're doing for MMA. You know, you're doing the weight cut. You're weighing in at your 125 or your 135, and then the next day you're rehydrating and fighting. In Thailand, we're walking on the scene, and that's what we're fighting at, keeping it in a certain division. So while I'm out in Thailand, I'm fighting at 140, and I'm usually, just sitting at about 140 or under. Fighting girls that are bigger and heavier than me, honestly, I enjoy the challenge. And because I'm coming from LFL and even the other codes of football that I played, rugby union, rugby league, even in touch football, I was always one of the smallest on the field. So when I was playing pro defense, I was literally going up against girls who are 195 pounds. And at the time, I was struggling to be about 150, 155 for my football days. So I'm definitely used to going against people who are bigger than me. I've been told I've got Napoleon syndrome, where I think I'm a big person, but I'm really not.
Okay, so I'm going to wind up asking you this question. It's the same question, but it's going to be worded differently.
Okay.
So, like when you were growing up, or whenever you were thinking about getting into the MMA game, was there like someone who you grew up watching, like a Bruce Lee or Jet Li, or somebody who did martial arts that inspired you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna be like this person, and I'm gonna start knocking people out?
Honestly, no. I grew up reading a lot of comic books, so I would like to thank Stan Lee and X-Men for for all of the fight scenes, and me watching these comic book mutants come into themselves and really own their own powers and own their own confidence in being this mutant and being badass. It was Misha Tate who got me to transition from LFL into MMA. She sat me down at one of the UFCs. It was when Mark Hunt was fighting, and she was actually the person who said I would find a love in MMA that I was now having, my heart was missing in football. So I do have to thank Misha Tate for being the person that planted that seed of, hey, you can really do this. But honestly, I never really grew up I was at the UFCPI around 1 million greats, and I still can't even fathom the amazing athletes and the amazing mixed martial artists that I've been able to train under or train around, just because I've never, I guess, been fanning into it. I grew up in Australia where I watched rugby league, I watched rugby union. Of course, I loved fight scenes, but I never had anyone that I got to grow up idolizing.
Oh, Crooked, before you ask her your question, I'm just curious on who her favorite comic book character is.
I love Rogue. I love Rogue and Gambit. I love the Rogue and Gambit. I just think there's something so badass about Rogue in being able to, just being such this beautiful person who's indestructible, who can absorb people's powers, and she's just always she can never touch people, so she's always has this sense of never truly belonging because she feels like she's missing one of those senses. I loved her. I wanted to be so badass and be Rogue.
So I know you did bring up being in the LFL and everything else like that. So I want to try and transition this into football. So
Yeah.
For being in LFL All-Star Safety, what was it like being an All-Star?
Okay, being an All-Star, it was such an amazing experience. I got flown into Guatemala, and I got to go earlier because I was a part of the media crew. And I literally get off the plane, and it's the first time I've had cameras were waiting for me to get off this plane. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, maybe they're taking photos of the aeroplane. It must be like a special carrier or something, completely just blind to them taking photos of me. But obviously, yeah, we got treated like superstars there. We had police escorts. Our bus never stopped. The bus had all of our faces plastered on the side of this thing. We were treated we were treated literally like royalty. When I got driven around, it was in a bulletproof car. I did every bit of media that you can think of, from radio, live TV, news reports, magazines. It was such a fun experience to be chosen as an all-star defense player, and to have that recognition, because it's such hard work, honestly. The platform that we're given with LFL it's one of the very few where we're able to play football on TV, and then to be chosen as an all-star. It really gives you that gratification of knowing that you're the years that you've sacrificed for sport has really come a long way. So yeah, getting to go over there, I got treated like royalty the entire time. It was fun. I like it. I don't really enjoy people treating me like a superstar, so to say. I don't know. I just feel like I'm still a normal person, I'm still a normal. We all shit.
All right. So when I found out you played safety, because when I watched the videos, you kind of lined up and you felt like a linebacker. And I was like, man, she's really small for a linebacker. And then I paid attention. And I was like, oh, she's a defensive back. I play defensive back. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun when I ask her, because I'm 5'7", so I'm not a big dude. But when you hit somebody, when you get that opportunity to lay like a massive shot on them, and then you look at them and you're not sure if you're going to fight or whatever. Have you ever hit a girl? Because listen, the LFL, y'all be hitting each other and laying lumber out there. So I'm curious, have you ever hit somebody and did they look at you like they wanted to try something, but they're like, oh, she's a badass, she could beat me up, because you kick. Okay.
Time. Especially on defense. It was crazy the amount of smack talk you would get back from an offensive, someone from offense, and as if they're shocked, and you're like, I'm defense, I'm here to tackle you, and that's it. So you're right, I'm definitely more of a linebacker style. When I played in Guatemala, that was one of the first times that the actual playbook didn't have the safety doing more linebacker type work. When I played for the Las Vegas Sin, they had me more as a fullback. So I was behind the middle linebacker. And they kind of let me just run rampant, just because I was tiny. I could get in with the mix of the linebackers, and I was fast enough to make plays. But I also had the opportunity to be able to drop back if I could read the plays, and could drop back and then be able to cut those angles to make those sprinting yards to make the tackle. Honestly, the girls always got up in your face. They always got up in your face. I remember being able to lock eyes with a couple of the American girls during our Australian season, and just it was that stare down of come on, bitch, come on, bitch, fucking. In my head, for me on the football field, they have to throw at me first, because once they have, then I'm allowed, in my world, I'm allowed to hit you and do whatever I want to do, because you've just engaged. So a lot of the times, Lily Granson, she was one of the girls who I actually put a hit on, and then we both had this weird stare down, and I was just like, come on, bitch, come on. So I feel you. I feel you.
All right, so you played in Queensland, Australia for the LFL and Las Vegas. Is there any difference between athletes and intensity?
I think there's more intensity when you're in America, because this is America's, American football, gridiron is America's sport. There's a culture to it, and it's been played for hundreds of years. So there's so much history. I feel like it's running through the genetics, and I feel like it's running through the blood of every, American person. So the intensity of the game was just so much more passionate when I was playing in America. Of course, Australia, like, I'm not saying that I'm not taking anything away from the Australian LFL seasons, because we definitely, like, every girl played with heart, and every girl laid everything that she had and made so many sacrifices for the game over there. But there just was this level, like, there was just it's a different culture. American football has a different culture. Gridiron has this different culture. Even in the locker rooms, having offense and defense, being able to see those characters that, like, okay, so I worked at a gym. It was a combine gym, and we would have guys come in, getting themselves ready for, to get into the NFL. And just from being able to speak with someone, it would take me not long to be able to pick up on certain traits and go, oh, you're an offensive lineman. Oh, you're a linebacker. Like, there's these different certain characters that even mentally as well as physically can fall into their positions that they play on football. So being able to be in a locker room in America where they've been perfectly chosen for body type as well as this mental attitude and heart about them just creates this different, like, defense is a completely different locker room when we're all on our own. Like, it's a completely different group, and it's everyone's a little bit more wild than, what a structured offense is like. So yeah, the game is completely different when you're playing in America.
All right. So this is where I said I was going to ask you the same question, but different. Like, when I was growing up, I knew, like, what football players as a kid. I was like, all right, I want to model my game after this guy. And obviously the first one, you didn't really, but, like, was there like an NFL player that you said, I love his game, I'm going to try to play like it? Like, was there any football player that you said, I'm going to play like this person?
Honestly, not really. I don't know the names of players, but I love learning, like, the process in how, like, that player got to be elite. So I'm like super obsessed with that rather than the actual, like, characters. Just because for me, it didn't matter who was, like, howling like a wolf at the moon through football games. If they were on defense, like, I just knew that being able to watch them and get those visual reps of anyone who was, like, playing was going to help my own game. And just being able to be around that sort of energy rubbed off onto myself. And, it made me more confident to fucking howl at the moon with my defense girls. We had Chuck Smith. He was at the gym, and he's one of the best defensive coaches in the combine system. So he had, like, a lot of players come in. Hell, I'm trying to think of some names. I'm, like, the worst at trying to think of people's names. I can see their damn faces. Bud Dupree. He was one of the guys come in. He was, like, beautiful to watch with his footwork. Yeah. Honestly, I feel so bad, but I don't know any of their names. I just really loved the process, and I loved more, I guess, their characters.
Crooked, can I cut you off again? I hate cutting you off because I cut this guy off all the time when we do our wrestling podcast, and I feel bad. Your face paint that you have on, it looks kind of like, I don't want to say Hawaiian or something, but, like, there's some kind of culture behind it, because most people just put something crazy. Your face paint looks insane.
You are actually pretty much spot on the money. So I am half native Māori, which is from New Zealand. We're the native tribe, a tribe of warriors from New Zealand, the Māori, and they actually came from Hawaii. So in history, there was meant to be 6 canoes. Supposedly, they left Hawaii and, founded New Zealand. So it was in our contract in Australia. We have to wear lashes. We have to wear makeup. We needed a spray tan, and they also said we needed war paint. So of course, naturally, I wanted to do the moko, which is on my chin. Now, this part in the paint actually represents, like, your mana. So, like, your chi, like your energy. It's your soul on your chin. Like, that's for women. Like, we're only allowed the on your chin painted. So for me, like, I was going out there as legit warrior. Like, I earned that. I'm a pro footballer now. So I earned my stripes. So I went out and I beasted it. I remember a lot of girls were like, ew, you're going to look ugly. And I just kind of remember thinking, like, you have no idea, like, that's not even the point of this. The point is to represent. And I'll tell you one thing, when I was putting it on, like this wave of like steadied emotions kind of just like settles you down. And then I just would start to just feel this weird fire, you know, like this fire just like start to build up in my chest. So it's actually, yeah, you were right. It's native Maori. It's moko.
All right, before Chef cut me off and everything else like that, I'm just gonna keep a short question on you for this one. What was your favorite football moment ever?
My favorite moment in footy? Damn. I feel like it was the times at training. I loved being able to go to training when we had like camps and everyone was completely just like run into the ground. I love being able to see like the girls and like where they were going to be and how they were going to play when it, you know, came down to us going to war on the field. So I loved being able to, I guess I loved those moments of seeing everyone at their rawest when they're almost crying, they're, you know, they're doing the millionth push up, and then they're having to run with someone on their back, and they're like falling over. I loved those sorts of moments where it was just the bonding. Like I loved the bonding, I loved the ranting, I loved being able to just have a laugh and like pay people out. Yeah, those are probably my favorite moments of the LFL, like the sisterhood part.
All right. So you definitely have done an extreme amount. So when you start doing all these things and checking off the boxes and hitting all these goals and everything, what is your next milestone or your goal? Like, what is the next thing on your list?
Ooh, damn. Okay, my next goal is I want to make it to fight for Invicta over in America for MMA. I would like to be able to, MMA right now is like where I'm wanting to see what my body can do. Like a mano a mano, I am set for that sort of challenge to see like woman versus woman, heart versus heart. I think that's just like, that's the next challenge for me. That's 100% going to be seeing like where that goes, whether it leads into Bellator or UFC. Like, hey, let's see like if the world gets put back in order after this corona. But yeah, that's definitely my next, you know, take over the world. That's every night I go to bed and every morning I wake up and it's the same mission. It's like, what are we going to do today? Oh, we're going to take over the world. It's still the same thing. But yeah, so MMA is definitely my next goal to conquer and just scratch off the list of like, oh yeah, nailed it.
All right, so I was hearing a rumor. You know what they say about rumors? Always go to the source. So what I've seen is that you're getting into the Lingerie Fighting Championship, the LFC. Is that true?
Rumor is true. So I had LFC come at me and they've put me as a prospect for such a long time. And I always said to them, I was like, yeah, like, okay, when I'm doing MMA, like, of course I'll think about it in the future. You know, and then the more I got kind of involved with the show and the more I kind of like started to see these girls use legit jiu-jitsu technique when they were in this cage, and it really is like stemming from like a WWE version of MMA. Obviously the costumes are a lot more sexualized with you know, seeing the girls like what they choose to portray their character with, you know, the baseline of it being lingerie. So I think that's going to be a fun aspect. I think it's the perfect sort of thing. The guys have a reality TV show out. I think they're up to 5 seasons now on Amazon Prime, I believe it is. And they've got a podcast show and they've got a heap of live shows out in Vegas. So for me, I just kind of thought, oh, you know what? Why not do something that's just so super fun, entertaining? It has that, you know, it has a little bit of aspect of like that Legends Football League part about it where we're like, come on, let's go, you know, just like kind of tap into that character. that I got to be, that really is just a part of like who I am as a person. Way too hypo, sometimes way too defense minded, where I'm like, yeah, boy, like. I think it weirds people out, and for me, I just think, damn, this person definitely was not on defense. Like, fuck your vibe. So yes, the rumor is true. I'm gonna definitely hit it at the lingerie football. I mean, the lingerie fighting championship. I think it's going to be something that's super fun to do, while at the same time training towards some major goals with MMA. I think it'll kind of like, if anything, one thing we used to do in football, and I'm sure a lot of coaches do it, is they get you to do this walkthrough, you know? So you'll walk down to the field, because we're dealing with a lot of cameras, we're dealing with a lot of interviews, a lot of photography work, and just to kind of take that nerves away, we would do a walkthrough. So for me, I feel like, why not just like use these things as like such a fun walkthrough where it's entertainment and it's a lot more like a bit more glamour, and just kind of get used to being on the scene. You know, just like LFL, just like continue with this like scene where I can get comfortable in the ring and have more fun with it. Just remember that MMA is fun, and be able to represent like a different part. I think people are really interested, you know, they're really interested in the martial artist side and like that puzzle of everything. So I think your wrestling, like your super wrestling fan base is someone that, you know, maybe they love the wrestling part, and then, you know, they're like, oh damn, she fights MMA. So maybe you're going to start to have people cross over and just have these different interests all be brought together. Damn, you did some research and listened to the rumor vine.
All right. So
Battery's like, hey, yo, I heard with Tai Emery lingerie.
Look, so my last question, and here's my thing, because my man Crooked Smile there, he's been talking, he's an independent wrestler. So like the gimmick, the music, the walk-in, all that is like super important. I wish he would have asked the question, because he knows this better than me, and he can obviously ask whatever he wants. But when that time comes and you do that lingerie fighting championship, do you know what kind of music do you want? Do you know what kind of gimmick do you want to go into the wrestling new life?
I kind of like that old school Rocky kind of era. I want, you know, I like those little sweat old school pants. I want like a kind of like a headband, like a bandana. And that's just because someone was like, damn, I think you're kind of like that movie. And I looked it up, and it's got like Jean-Claude Van Damme when he goes out to Thailand and just like rebirths himself as, you know, as this fighter. And so I just started thinking, I was like, you know what, I think that's pretty awesome. I feel like I'm pretty old school in that retrospect. I'm like, you know, lift weights, it's eat steaks. I'm kind of got that mentality. When it comes to like hard work, I'm like, got to get the job done. Let's get it done, boys. So I think I want that sort of kind of to portray out. Dude, maybe you need to come and help me with my walkout, and you can be like my towel boy, so we can like, you know, come into LFC. You can help me with the cage entrance. We'll put on a show.
Hey, that's definitely. I'm about to say that's got to happen.
Hey, I'll bring out my gimmick too with you coming out to the ring. Like I do like a half Joker face with like the full smile. So something pretty unique.
Yes, I think so. And I think eventually I have to do something to really, I'm known as like the LFL, you know, I'm known for being in the LFL. Although it's my fourth code of football that I've kind of conquered, I'm always going to be known as that LFL chick. Like it didn't matter where I went for training. I trained at ATT, I trained at Gwinnett Academy, I trained at Octopus, I trained at Extreme Couture, 10th Planet, Cabrini Jiu-Jitsu. Like I've been so blessed with all the martial artist knowledge that I've been around, but I'm still known as, oh yeah, you're that LFL chick. So I think eventually I've got to bring out that war paint as well. Like you got to respect, I think people have got to respect that footballers are badasses too.
Yeah, no doubt. Like definitely going into the cage and everything, you want to put in that character, you want to put in that sense of like mentality, like I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm telling you. You're heading down to that ring. It's
Boy. Dude, I remember, like, okay, this is probably one of my favorite times in LFL. They would, for some reason, give me the flag. So they'd give me this Las Vegas Sin flag before, like, we're running out and, you know, we're, like, doing the big chant. They've got all the cameras around. And I would just smash this pole into the ground. Like, I would just be, like, cheering so hard that this thing would come back. The base would be completely, like, pile drived up. It'd be all bent and wumba. And every game, they'd be like, why do we keep giving the pole to Emery? And I just thought, yeah, why do you guys keep giving this to me? I'm being a legit brat, like, purposefully fucking this flag up just to be like, and I'd be like, what? We're getting hype, man. Like, you can't expect me to not, like, bash this pole into the ground. Like, I'm probably one of the most violent people on the team, and I'm purposefully doing it because I'm being a brat. I'm being an evil little brat. Because to me, I don't know, someone else is like going, that is really immature. But I'm like, no way, that was some funny shit. Best news, giving that back to the entertainment crew and being like, yeah, thanks, guys. You guys don't pay us, so I've got to get my enjoyment somehow.
So before I wrap this up, because I know Crooked, I appreciate his time. He was like, I blessed the guy. He was like, I got my nephews over, and I'm like, no, we got this. So my thing now, music, and I love music. I'm hip hop. I listen to everything, a little bit of eclectic palette. But your intro music, would you have it as rock? Would you have it as hip hop? Would you have it as something like chant or something like that, where it kind of goes into maybe your culture? Like, what music would you have?
Oh my gosh, there's so many elements. Because it really is, like, everything sets the stage, and people should really know, like, I feel even, like, from wrestling down to MMA, like, if somebody's going to put you on a card, they kind of need to know, like, hey, this is what I'm completely about. I honestly feel like for each time, it's going to change as to what my main theme is, because I think each, and towards each sort of camp, whether it be for an MMA fight or for an LFC fight, depending on who you're, like, going against. See, I'm someone who could go from country, like, I love Georgia country, that's my favorite, but I also love hip hop. I also love all that new music. I also love old school. Hell, I might do some Outkast in there. I feel like I'm someone who's going to have at least 2 songs mixed together, and probably stick to some old school. I want to I feel like that's the wrestling culture, is, like, if people, like, we're all in our 30s now. Like, guess what? All the geeks have grown up. We've all grown up. And guess what? We can do whatever we want now, Mom and Dad. We can do whatever we want.
That's awesome. Now, Crooked, do you have any more questions, or has she blessed us with enough greatness? I think Crooked might be. Oh, my fault. I was about to say, I think the niece and nephews might have took over.
No.
So, do you have any more questions? Are we walking out of here? Did she bless us? What's going on, brother?
I think we're all set. Like, we asked all the questions that, we've asked, like, more than, like, 20 questions to her pretty much. So I think we're set.
We definitely picked their ear. Now, do you have anything you want to plug? Any show? Well, I'm about to say any shows, but I know we're on the quarantine. But whatever you want to plug, if it's a clothing line, if it's your Instagram, just plug whatever you want to plug. Plug away.
Guys, I'm on OnlyFans, so that's a link in my bio as well as in my Twitter. And you can follow the journey on Instagram and Twitter, which are both the @TAI_EMERY. I'm putting all my fights up. I'm trying to make it as super personal as possible for my OnlyFans. Just trying to give it as, like, like a bit more of the journey, as well as, like, obviously on the Instagrams doing like as much publicity as I can for everyone else. Right now in quarantine, I've been podcasting so much, so I was super pumped for you guys to, like, reach out. I love being able to share the memories. It's honestly, it's so awesome to have people, like, still recognize, like, that huge part of my life. I always wonder, I'm like, what would people want to know? Like if I'm that person who's so blunt to, like, just cough up all the truth, Like, that means people can ask me anything about LFL, and I'm like going to be very, very brutally honest. I'll get a heap of DMs from all old teammates being like, "You bitch," but who cares? Like, that's how it was. It was like a league of their own, like mixed with a heap of cool cat fights as well as a really cool sisterhood. So LFL was bomb.
Wow, that's awesome. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the team, because we had two other guys, but one of them is on a different coast, so it was like 6 a.m. And then the other one, his daughter wasn't feeling well, so he's like, bro, I can't make it. So you got this. Yeah, you got this crew here. Hopefully we were not too annoying with our weird questions or anything like that.
As if. The weirder the better, dudes. Be yourselves. I love that shit.
Absolutely.
Especially if you guys like, one's wrestling, one's from football. Like, we're all on the same vibe of weirdness and craziness when you're like in love with those sorts of sports and that sort of entertainment, you know? Like, I feel it's like a part of our own characters to be like that. So yeah, I love it. Thanks for like giving me your time.
No, appreciate it. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put this up as soon as possible. Hopefully it'll be up by the afternoon. On behalf of my man Crooked, you can find him crookedsmile_HT6. Me, I don't need to plug myself. So have a good day, guys.
Peace.
Have a good one, guys.
Let me stop recording.